the advice that I might give to students about what they should expect from a better economics curriculum. And I would say one very important thing is better teaching and more teaching of the history of economics and the history of economic ideas. If you look at what's happened to the economy, say, since Adam Smith, 1776, published The Wealth of Nations, the societies we're talking about have changed enormously, and the way that people actually produce, the way that they live has changed enormously, and you see that reflected in the way people write and think about economics. It's a very fascinating subject in itself. A second thing that comes to my mind is to demand more diversity, more expression of different points of view about key economic questions, such as free trade or minimum wages or price controls or government intervention to control aggregate demand. There's a tendency in American economics to teach predominantly only one answer to those questions or one approach to those questions. And I think students have the right to hear much more of that. And maybe another final thing is interdisciplinarity. Economists are not the only scholars or scientists who have things to say that are important about economic questions. Economic questions are inherently social, historical, philosophical, and so I think that students should find ways to get these other points of view clearly expressed in their curriculum as well. Even, for example, physicists have some important things to say about the quantitative side of economic and financial theory. One big problem that economics departments have is that it's not easy to hire people who know about diverse points of view, who know about the history of ideas. So I believe that INET should try to do something about graduate education and try to broaden the effort of graduate education, especially on the American model, what people call the American model, so that there are people who can teach the kind of curriculum I was just mentioning. It's very important for graduate students to become aware of what are called heterodox traditions, which are represented by quite a substantial amount of publications in the form of books, journals, alternative handbooks, and so forth. So I would like to see graduate students take some of the time away from the rather narrow spectrum of texts that they tend to be offered in their courses and see what the alternatives are.